Land is one of the most deeply emotive subjects on the African continent, stolen from Africans at the turn of the 20th century, then returned, and in many cases not returned to its original owners. Tied to land is culture, economy, and a nation's politics.
I have never, save for the rumor mongering, been accused of any impropriety in terms of grabbing anybody's land. Land that we own as a family is land that has been purchased on the basis of willing buyer and willing seller.
There was a betrayal of the freedom fighters, the original freedom, the struggle. Those who sacrificed most were completely abandoned by the leadership. And that's the reason why this issue has remained a contentious issue for all this time.
Land is also tied to education, and in Kenya, corruption related to land continues to rob the country's poorest, not just of the soil, but of the opportunity to better their lives. This documentary is the final installment to two previous ones. The first, Not My School, featuring two schools, Naka Primary in Nakuru County and Mwamdudu Primary in Kwale County, all on the brink of disappearing, and the rugged determination of their children and teachers to hang on.
This land belongs to us. It doesn't belong to them.
Not My School was later followed by My School, My Life, featuring two other schools, Sumbeyo and Barkowino, which shed the light on the struggle to title schools and protect the future for Kenya's children.
Well, we had put for ourselves a target of processing 10,000 schools. And for me, I choose to hold this as a working number. But the president himself did, express his desire that within 1 year these schools should be fully titled. It's unlikely that they can be titled within that 1 year, but if we work, everyone plays their part, I see this happening substantively within a period of about 3 years to 5 years at the maximum.
And now, this is a story about our schools, our responsibilities. In a global trend, citizens without ownership papers to land that they had long considered theirs, be it schools or even hospitals, are at an increasing threat from land developers who are now laying claim to these lands. The United Nations estimates that around 70% of the whole world is undocumented. In Kenya alone, 2/3 of all the 31,000 public institutions do not have titles. We are here in Kisumu. My name is Omo Nyango. Please walk with me. I am an old boy of Victoria Primary School. It has been 10 years since I was last here, and the memories are everywhere I look. It is all quite emotional for me. There is a sense of pride to having been a part of a journey in the school's history, one that started before I was born, one that briefly included myself and all of my friends, and one that keeps going after me through a new set of school kids.
The same things that you are having is the same things that I had.
But what brings me here today is a threat. The school is on the verge of being destroyed by a group of people with private interests. Kenyans will know the meaning of the term private developers well. And as head teacher Edward Omalo confirms to me, these people have trained their sights on my old school.
You can see the kind of construction that are coming up. There's a parcel of land that actually was allocated for a swimming pool for this school. Now, when I came in, it was the end of 2013, I came and found that that land, block 1150, some people were to grab it. Now it made us to go to an extent of now even putting a signpost to tell the public that that land is for school. Then we also had to report to the authorities that actually there are some people who are interested in those parcels. There is also land around Riat Hills next to SOS. Those parents that were there by then bought that land for the purpose of coming up with Victoria Boys Secondary School and Victoria Girls Secondary School.
The two pieces of land were purchased in the leafy suburbs of Riat Hills and registered under Victoria School Parents Association in 1987, according to a confidential letter in our possession. Parcel 644 measuring 3.8 hectares and Parcel 647 measuring 3.6 hectares have allegedly been illegally allocated to individuals with the help of a section of the previous Board of Management.
People that were there at that particular time were the people who were selling these lands. So we came back and started asking ourselves that what is the next course of action, because with them they could not accept that the people who were selling the land.
We have in our possession a copy of a management meeting agenda held on the 11th of May 2012. In that particular meeting, the school land was one of the two agenda for discussion. The committee authorized the school's executive to start the process of selling the parcels. The members given this mandate were led by the then chairperson, Mr. Ken Akoko, the head teacher who was also the secretary, the late Mr. Meda, and Miss Phoebe Fan, who was the Standard 4 representative and third signatory.
I don't know exactly how they came to a level of selling the school land, because when I tried to follow that, do we have the minutes that allowed you to sell the land? In the school, we never had those minutes. The minutes for the parents wasn't there. I think that is where we started parting ways. And I say that even after we have done that, because the school now belongs to the government, did you get authority from the government to sell this land? Because after maybe deliberations, we must seek consent from the ministry if they are allowed to sell that land. All these ones were not there.
Parcel 647 measuring 3.8 hectares was sold to a private developer for a cost of about 2.5 million Kenyan shillings. The other parcel 644 measuring 3.6 hectares was also sold for a cost of 5 million Kenyan shillings with a deposit of 800,000 Kenyan shillings supposedly paid to the former head teacher Mr. Meda as deposit. We could not independently verify these payment claims as we could not get any copies of checks and the dates of payment from the buyers. Ms. Kabale Tache is the acting chief executive officer of the National Land Commission of Kenya, NLC.
School land is protected under the law, and it cannot be disposed under whatever circumstance. Yes.
And who is the custodian of all these?
The CS National Treasury is custodian of all these public schools. Yes.
Parcel 647 was sold to a company called Jintas Holding Limited in February 2013. The title was processed on the 25th of the same month and issued the same day, an incredibly strange happening. This land was subsequently transferred to Gito Holdings and finally acquired by former Regional Development Permanent Secretary, Engineer Kari Orege. We reached out to Engineer Orege, who is also a former parent at the school. By the time this story was being aired, he had not responded to any of our calls. He sent us a text message promising to call us back after finishing an engagement. We called back, but he did not pick up. The second parcel 644 measuring 3.8 hectares was also subdivided and sold in two portions. Kisumu Dago 3527 registered in the name of one Joseph Otieno Onyango, and Kisumu Dago 3528 registered in the name of an Evans Odero Nyakigo. We reached out to one of the two buyers, Mr. Joseph Onyango, who promised to call us back the following day.
I'll give you a call. Is this your personal line or office line?
Yeah, this is the office line. Yeah, so we'll really appreciate if you could give us, if you could reach out to us, or so that we can also just get you part of the story. So when can we get a response from you?
In fact, right now I'm a little bit busy.
Yes.
Can we talk tomorrow by 10?
Tomorrow by 10.
Yeah, kindly.
Okay.
Okay.
We called back, but by the time we went on air with this piece, he had neither responded to any of our calls nor text messages.
The land that belonged to the school was 644, but right now if you look at the parcel, it has been subdivided to 3527, 3528. That one wasn't our land. The land that we are looking for is 644, because this one will create a challenge. Anybody can even introduce that parcel to any size that he wants.
We finally reached out to the then chairman of the school management committee during the time the school land was sold, Mr. Ken Okoko. It is very evident that he did not want to own up to any of the accusations leveled against him.
So what did you say your name is again?
Yeah, my name is Aum. I'm calling you from African Uncensored. If now I'm deducing from that, whatever you've told me, I've deduced that the school land has already been sold while you are saying it's not been sold, then we are not on the same page.
I'm still repeating to you.
Yes.
You cannot sell a school land.
But it's already been sold, and it was sold under your tenure as the chairman. So how was it done?
And again, I'm saying,
yes,
you cannot sell a public land.
Then what happened?
You cannot sell a public land, you cannot sell a school land. So underline those two.
The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission EACC confirmed to the National Lands Commission through a letter on the 26th of February 2018 that they had picked up the matter and that investigations have reached a very advanced stage of completion before forwarding the same to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution for further advice.
We have reported, and once we reported, they said that they're going to make a follow-up, and up to now we've not got a report. So their findings may be still with them. Then the EACC, they have the matter with them, they are making a follow-up. Except I think that no, it is now taking long since they started following up this thing, because if it's a matter of 2013, from 2013, then around, I think they had a report by 2014, 2015 there. So even if it is a matter of investigations, then I think they should now give us a report.
Despite the fact that Mr. Omola has not faced any legal challenges along the corridors of justice, it has evidently taken a toll on him.
It's very stressful, because as much as you may want to deliver, there are other things that are also eating your brain, which of course should not. And we have actually, it has never been easy, but at times we try to close 1 year that these children also needs our services.
Victoria Primary School is not the only school that is at risk. Recent estimates by a multi-stakeholder rapid response team comprising of the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Land, the National Land Commission and the Shule Yangu Alliance indicate that 63% of schools, representing 20,380 of the 32,354 public schools, do not have titles. Further to this, 13%, representing about 4,100 schools, are at a risk of being grabbed due to lack of any ownership documents.
Together with this other team, the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Land and the Shule Yangu campaign, we've managed to title over 9,000 schools, and we are also in the process of titling 1,000 schools. That is in total slightly over 10,000 schools have been titled so far. We have about 22 to go. In total, it's about 32,000 schools which have been mapped.
Our next stop is Kiembeni Baptist Primary School in Kisauni constituency, Mombasa County. Unlike Victoria, whose land was grabbed by private developers working in cahoots with a section of the former Board of Management, using their positions to benefit from school land, this school is entangled in an exclusive fight with a faith-based organization, the Baptist Convention of Kenya. A full-blown war that is slowly consuming school-going children from within.
Tunaendelea kupigania shule kwa sababu ya kusaidia mtoto. Kwa sababu ikiwa mimi mwenyewe hapa already wale wenye nimewapitisha wameenda secondary school ni 3 na wamepita. Ikiwa madamu wetu mwenye yuko hapa saizi amenipitisha watoto wangu ambapo wamepita na marks ambazo ni 330. Kwa nini nisipiganie na wale ambao wako ambao ni wangu na hata na wengine pia nao kuweza kuona kwamba wataendelea na waweze kupata kusonga mbele katika hali hiyo.
The school was founded in 1988 as a government-aided nursery primary school to give formal education to the less privileged children who had nowhere to quench their thirst for knowledge. Hussein, whose real identity we are protecting for safety purposes, is an employee of the school with knowledge of the land dealings. He lets us in.
Hiyo 1989 wakati anataka kuanzisha hii shule, huyo pastor ali-apply kwa DC wakati huo. Wakaomba kibali kufanya harambee waanzishe shule hapa kulingana na ile barua aliandika. Ambapo hii area alikuwa ameclaim kwamba hii area community kulikuwa kuna shule, na kweli area hii kulikuwa kuna shule mpaka huko. Aliruhusiwa na harambee ya kwanza ikafanyika. Ambapo hii shule ikawa sasa inakuwa extended yearly through harambee. Kwa hivyo ni pesa mfuko ya wazazi walikuwa wanachanga, sio wao rasmi.
All appears to have gone well at the school until the year 2003, when the government introduced free primary education and sent funds to the school for purchase of books and equipment. The control of those funds triggered the issue of who controls or runs the school, the church as a private entity or the defunct Municipal Council of Mombasa as a public entity. Joshua Omondi is the current priest in charge of Kiembeni Baptist Church.
We were working together in making sure that we cooperate, but when the free primary education was introduced, the government wanted it to take it forcefully to be the government school, now taking it from the church, and which refuted. We went to the court, at least to get the justice, because we saw that it's not justice to release the school whereby it was begun by the church. It was not a good journey because it took us around 13 good years.
Minute number 562/89 of the Education Committee meeting of 6th October 1989 does not clearly, specifically and explicitly bestow the ownership and management of the school to the Baptist Convention of Kenya, but the resolution was an administrative measure for implementation and supervision. That became the legally accepted and uncontested position for 14 years, from 1989 to 2003, preceding introduction of free primary education. Being a public institution according to the government, the school was also eligible for free primary education grant. Since 2003, Kiembeni Baptist Primary School has received a total of 9.6 million Kenyan shillings from the government through the Ministry of Education.
Lakini sasa hii hao kusimamia wenyewe, hiyo ndio problem. Wazazi walikuwa wanafanya harambee. Unanielewa? Kwa hivyo ni mali ya wazazi. Lakini sasa hao nikawa kama kupo nataka kula juu ya wazazi. Na walimu pia nao wakawa ni HSC. Alafu sasa hao wanakuja wanasema hii shule ni yao. Unajua inashangaza sana. Miaka hiyo yote. Kwa hivyo wao wana ujanja fulani.
This is a position that Pastor Omondi strongly refutes.
There is nothing like community building this school. This land was bought by the church under Baptist Convention of Kenya. You know, Baptist Convention of Kenya is the umbrella body of the Baptist churches. And the title deed is under the registered trustees of the Baptist Convention of Kenya. Secondly, when the church bought the land, it began by building the church. And then year by year, they were raising funds to build at least one class.
After presenting documentary evidence in opposition to Pastor Omondi, showing clearly that not only did the parents contribute to the building of the school, but also that all the teachers were paid by the government, he seemed to change his tune.
This is a fact. I can't cheat on you. I'm a pastor. I believe in truth. This is a truth, and 100% truth. There were teachers who were paid by the church. And then there were teachers who were under the TSC. By then, we were having around 6 teachers who were sponsored by the church against the government, who were around 12. I am a parent in a private school. We are asked to give contribution for the development of the school. We give. But that does not cause you to claim to be the owner. That was a normal participation of the parents. But that does not necessarily mean that that school belongs to the community.
The Baptist Convention of Kenya won the case against the school. The school stopped enrolling new students in 2013 and is set to revert to full private status upon completion of studies for the pupils enrolled under the public school system as at academic year 2012.
Shule hii haina nursery, class 1 mpaka class 4. Iko na 5, 6, 7 and 8. Tena katika hizo madarasa zenye ziko ni takriban watoto karibu 900 na. Lakini lao ingelikuwa labda pengine nursery school tuko nayo class 1 na class 4, hizo madarasa manne. Basi ukweli ni kwamba tungekuwa tunabeba maybe a proportional of 1,500.
Questions about the validity and authenticity of the land tenure documents presented by the Baptist Convention Church in court have also been questioned.
Sasa hii ardhi ni kama kuna wale wanyakuzi ambao walikuwa wanakondaga kule kwa lands, wanajua hii ardhi kwa nini na nini na nini, hao ndio waliwauzia hao Baptist. Maana wako na receipt yao bandia. Waliuziwa, hawangeingia bure.
Kiwa kanisa halina hati miliki za kumiliki shamba hili, na iwe itakuwa hali ya kwamba yeye ndo anapewa kipaumbele zaidi, wao ndo wanapewa kipaumbele zaidi. Kwa hivyo ni kumaanisha sisi ni wanyonge, wao ndio wenye haki, kwa sababu labda pengine kuna njia zingine ambazo wanazitumilia. Sisi tunapigania kama sisi. Manake uwezekano wa kwamba labda pengine nimekuja kukuona, wewe labda ni mkubwa fulani ambao unahusiana na mambo fulani, labda tupatie chai. Hatuna chai. Sisi tunapigana kama vile sisi tuko kwa sababu ya kutetea mtoto.
The Ministry of Education and the County of Mombasa lost the case against the church in a ruling on the 22nd of December 2014 by Judge Mary Kasango.
Ukweli ni kwamba sisi kama Board of Management tumekuwa na mitihani mikubwa sana, kwa sababu wenye wanatu challenge ni watu wa kanisa. Wao ni watu wana pesa, Board of Management haina pesa. Sasa wao ni kushika mawakili, kuhongana mapesa, kusemekane hivi, kusemekane vile, ili hali ya kwamba ionekane kwamba wao ndo wako na umuhimu zaidi kuliko sisi.
The last of the 4 orders given by Judge Mary Kasango gives the Ministry of Education the liberty to present new evidence that can move the court to hear its review application, perhaps opening a window of opportunity for Abdulrahman to finally get justice.
Kama ingelikuwa serikali inaangalia na labda pengine hata hiyo kesi iweze kurudishwa tena kotini, basi tungejua mbivu na mbichi ni gani kulingana na utaratibu huu.
The only thing certain for this lot in Kiembeni Baptist Primary School is uncertainty. As things stand now, if no one comes to their aid, by the time Kenyans will be heading to the next general election in 2022, this school, Kiembeni Baptist Primary School that we are discussing today, will no longer be in existence. This particular case on the attempted land grab of 0.6 hectares belonging to Langata Road Primary School in 2015 brought to limelight public school land ownership issues in the country and lifted the lid on the brutalization meted out to anyone who dare oppose these dangerous individuals called private developers. Being a capital city, it doesn't come as a surprise that Nairobi carries the burden of schools whose land risk being grabbed with 26 institutions, both primary and secondary, under threat. One of these schools is Garden Estate Secondary School in Roysambu constituency, built in 2014 using the constituency development funds at a cost of over 70 million Kenyan shillings on land shared with Garden Estate Primary School. The land had been allocated to the schools in 1966 under land reference number 11973. This land that the government had built the secondary school on had been alienated and sold to 3 private individuals in 1996. The 3, Edward Lesilma, Olesika Moi and Cherop Saina, were claiming 7 acres of land, this being the whole piece of land that the secondary school was sitting on.
The interest of this private developer is very simple. On one hand, I remember one time when we were in High Court, one of the people who were there on the part of the private developer requesting Mheshimiwa that Mheshimiwa, instead of us struggling with this land or whatever, why can't you just compensate us? Then we can just allow the school to expand and whatever. So you see, from that time, I've been able to read something that these people, I think they want to gain financially. Because currently, by the rates we are having around, 1 acre of land in this area, it's about roughly 100 million. And here we are talking about 7 acres of land. So you can imagine what these people have in mind. Theirs is that they will be able to cash in.
The developers have now changed tact and they are renegotiating the portion they are now claiming.
Assuming here there will be some parking, they have no quarrel with this parking area. But immediately after the parking, we have where the fields are starting. So that boundary, if you are to look at it, is cutting across. Taking both the fields all the way like that. That's where the boundary is now. Yes.
And in the original map plan, we don't have anything.
It's not. No, this is now. If you go to Survey of Kenya, it is there now.
Yeah.
But initially, you know, you'll be able to see this is something temporary. It's not permanent. If you are to look all the other boundaries for this whole land, they are all permanent. But this one is temporary, done with a pencil. It's like there are people somewhere, they are just waiting that when they succeed in getting this piece of land, after succeeding, now the permanent whatever can be put. All this was meant to be public land all the way up to that end. Yes. But so why do we have public land on one side of the road, then we have private land in the middle, then again we have public land again? That one tells you where did this person come from. This road was not there initially. It was just put just to assist in whatever. And why was it put? Because this is public land. That's how they were able to come up with the road.
With the help of legal officers from the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, the school won the case in November 2017 to secure their land. However, the land that they are standing on is still shaky, literally speaking.
It's about 2 issues which were coming after. One, there was the issue about the issue of the title deed, where I think the county government had sued the private developer about the title deed. So according to the judge, it's like that case had been determined in favor of the private developer. So the other issue now, according to the judge, what we should be following now is the issue of trespass, whereby now the private developer has a case in court that we have trespassed as a school and we are supposed to be evicted. But I believe, as what we are saying is that that issue of determination about the legality of that title deed need to be revisited.
A judgment which does not sit very well with the head teacher, Mr. Gakungu.
There's something a bit fishy here, that the legality of the title deed is okay. So now we go to the eviction. So don't you think it is somebody who is trying to put the government in a very awkward position so that now it is said that the school be evicted, which is not possible to evict the school. So what will happen here? The government will be put in a tight position, maybe to do what? To compensate. This is now where the playing field starts from.
Across town at St. Catherine's Primary School in South B, the script is not any different. The school was set up in the early 2000s to encourage children from the slum to get an education. Sister Mary Killeen, the director, tells me of the numerous run-ins that she had with law enforcement officers who were being used by influential people to frustrate her and other sisters from the Sisters of Mercy with the sole purpose of driving them out of the land that she was allocated to start the school. She mentioned these people as close to powerful families. She has tried to seek legal redress, but this also has hit a dead end.
About 3 every year for 12 years, that's 36 court sessions. And I haven't even got as far as giving my own witness yet, because they delayed the case by having the contempt. It was a way of taking the case around, so that took 2 or 3 years to clear. And then they bring these witnesses who talk very slowly, who are missing, who don't turn up, so it delays. Actually, it's an abuse of the court system. But I think they're sick from greed. Greed has eaten them. And actually, it's a very bad disease in Kenya. It may be the worst disease because it's going from one person to another. And very few people can withstand it. If they get a chance to grab, it doesn't matter who they're hurting, who they're grabbing from. Even some children are doing to their parents.
This is not a standalone case, but one that is repeatedly told not only by her, but also by many other schools that find themselves in similar situations around the country.
It's very hard to understand how a rich man comes and takes the land from the poor. And now the government is saying there's 100% transition to secondary, but in this area there's not even 40% because there's no public school. But we really need another secondary school here.
The school is part of Mukuru Promotion Center, a church-based organization that helps thousands of children and adults from the neighboring Mukuru slums by providing education, healthcare, and social rehabilitation services. The center was allocated 7 acres of land by the defunct County Council of Nairobi and issued with an allotment letter. Shortly after the allocation, a man identified as Simon Limo claimed to own 4 acres of the land. Limo later sold the property to the National Social Security Fund (NSSF), which sold it to Nelson Mwangi Kamau and David Mburu Gibson of Nemka Commercial Agency.
This land is worth millions, and already under the tables, crooked city council officials banded together. And then by 2005, they'd started giving people permission for the land to be subdivided. Now, NSSF had the title deed, but they were ordered by the Ministry of Education not to sell it. But then they engaged a commercial agency to sell the land in plots and to have it subdivided with all these funny fellows.
In 2015, parents marched to the offices of the then Lands Cabinet Secretary, Charity Ngilu, to protest against the grabbing of their playground by the private development company known as Nemka Commercial Agency. Ngilu then promised to end the court case immediately and issue the school with a title.
Land hii yenu ya St. Catherine Primary School ni ya St. Catherine's Primary School. Let me put everybody who is trying and hoping that the land they grabbed whichever year, it does not matter. It will now revert to the rightful owners.
And me, I'm very hurt because all the people of South Bay who live here for a long time, they all know this is school land. They all know it's Mariacani playing fields. But yet, not even one middle class person came. They threatened to kill me. I told them, you go ahead and kill me. I said, because when you kill me, all these people of Mariacani that know me to see, now they may raise up.
This directive has never been implemented. In fact, Coast Bus Service Limited, a transport company, is also being accused of further grabbing a section of the land, leaving the school with less than a paltry 3 acres of the original 11 acres.
He has the land, he grabbed the land, but he cannot be able to access it.
And he has a funny title deed that they got in those days, yeah.
The epic rush for land-based investment and sheer corruption within the land governance structure has made it possible for land grabbers to take advantage of schools such as this. And when this is happening, the biggest losers are children like these who will not have enough playground and playtime that will be very important for their growth.
It's the children of the poor. Now, the 65% of Nairobi's children are actually quite hungry, and they can't go to boarding school, they don't have the fees. So they need big public schools which are cheap for them, that they can affordable. And if they get that, they'll go ahead with their lives. Now, if you block them from having that, they're going to kill you.
A woman from a generation before today's, fighting for tomorrow's children, Sister Killeen is determined not to give up. Age is slowly but steadily catching up with her, but she still has hope.
I'd say they're waiting for me to die because they don't see anybody else taking keen interest. And, you know, hopefully I'll have some successors who'll take keen interest in this land and follow it. Hopefully, I pray. But I wouldn't like to die without this land being completed and without the secondary being there.
The 4 schools that are visited in Kisumu, Mombasa and Nairobi are just a tip of the iceberg when it comes to some of the challenges that public school heads go through in the murky legal issues in trying to protect school land. For Abdul Rahman and Sister Killeen, it is more than just the time that they have taken along the corridors of justice.
Tukiapili hizo kesi zinasikizwa, zinawekwa hizo matarehe na nini, lakini hatuoni mambo yenye yanaendelea. Na tushawahi kuita hata area MP wetu kukaa naye kumwelezea shida zetu, na akasema pia kwamba atatusaidia kwa njia nyingine, na hawezi ruhusu shule yake katika eneo lake iweze kuona kwamba itaenda hivi. Na hata ikiwa itakuwa ni kuwezekana kwamba serikali iweze kununua shule, yeye ana njia ambazo anazafanya mpaka serikali ikabidi kanunua shule kwa kupitia kwa mwenye shamba.
It's crucial for people to wake up and protect their public services. You know, in future, you can imagine now in 20 years' time, you will have to fork out, you'll have a big tax to buy land for schools. And yet the land was there and somebody else enriched himself by it. And how will you feel when you have to buy a new land for a school?
Even in this situation, there are silver linings. The process of titling of public school land is picking pace, with close to 12,000 schools titled to date. In addition, a multi-agency working group was gazetted in 2018 to fast-track titling of all public schools. This initiative could benefit greatly from robust public participation. As a result of the collaborative efforts to secure public schools between private, public and civil organizations, the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning and the National Lands Commission has successfully processed close to 12,000 schools for titling, successfully waived all survey fees for public schools, sensitized head teachers and general public on titling process and encouraged all public schools to apply for titles.
The history behind school titling was as a result of the Prestation Directives, which was issued in 2015, where the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Land, and the National Land Commission were tasked with the responsibility to ensure that all public schools are titled This, of course, did not go without the other non-state actors, like the Shule Yangu campaign. So together with this team together now, put their heads together and started the program.
The 4 schools that are visited in the 3 counties of Kisumu, Mombasa, and Nairobi all represent a deeper problem that we've been dealing with as a country since independence. The ruins at Kiembeni Baptist Primary School as a result of a full-blown war between the school and the church, the death threats in Kisumu's Victoria Primary School and St. Catherine here in Nairobi all point to the sickness of land grabbing. The keyword to this sickness involves active citizenship where you, me, all of us take part and ask the government to also do so.